So now let's talk about the role of the network in digital transformations. A digital transformation really relies on the cloud. But now what we want to talk about is how does the cloud itself rely on an underlying network? What is it that a network needs to do to adequately underpin cloud? No network, no cloud. But networking cloud actually brings some new requirements out. First thing is you need a network that's going to be able to scale. The more you put things remote from a cloud user, the more the network has to carry information back and forth into the cloud. And that just logically starts growing the bandwidth capacity and scale requirements. Going hand in hand with that, the network now has to have reach. A cloud application is really no good unless it actually reaches all of the users in a given enterprise or agency. So ubiquitous reach is going to be extremely important. Now with cloud, the other thing that's going to be important is bandwidth symmetry. And this is sort of new in satellite world, but essentially we're talking about a remote site is going to be consuming information and capability from the cloud. But in digital transformations, equally, it's going to be pushing information back into the cloud. So information that flows to the remote and information that flows from the remote, both can be significant amounts of information, significant amounts of data. And this really calls for bandwidth symmetry in the network. Along those lines then, it creates a requirement for what's known as east to west networking. More and more with the cloud being distributed, different points of the cloud need to flow information back and forth between themselves. And so the networking problem statement is, as much as anything else these days, more about flowing information east to west, laterally between cloud points. Performance of the network is very important. Have to have a high performance, robust, secure, and SLA guaranteed network. It's essential to make sure that the distributed parts of a cloud application can reliably talk to the centralized parts of an application. So all of these new requirements are there in support of a really key concept in cloud networking, which is what is termed follow the workload. Workloads in the cloud world are the things that do work, or the things that process data, or the things that store data. And in a cloud architecture, they can move around an awful lot. They can be replicated for resiliency reasons. They can be load balanced for efficiency reasons. They can be scaled up and down depending on the needs of an application. And these workloads really are the endpoints of bandwidth requirements. So if the workloads are moving around, it follows that the network has to be agile. It has to follow the workloads. It has to be reconfigurable in order to connect to those workloads in a very dynamic way. Now, in the satellite world, these things that I'm describing here are absolutely well aligned with what SES's O3b mPower system provides. mPower is an excellent fit for networking the cloud in a satellite environment. So with O3b mPower, there's really two key values, two key behaviors that we can bring in networking the cloud. First one is we can connect anywhere to the cloud. But also, by deploying a connected edge compute solution, we can take the cloud to anywhere. And both are key behaviors that are needed when you're networking the cloud. So up until now, we've really been talking about why SES is focused on space-enabled cloud, space-enabled digital transformations. But let's talk a little bit about what. What is it that SES is actually offering to our customers and into the market? Well, we've talked a little bit about O3b mPower, and that'll be the anchor system for digital transformations for essentially an agile satellite connection. But on top of that, as our core offering, we're also introducing a set of capabilities that we're calling our Digital Transformation Toolkit. And there's four that I'll talk about here. The first one of these is what we call Cloud Direct. Essentially, it's a direct-to-cloud demarcation. That creates a high-performance dedicated connection from the remote all the way into a public cloud environment without going through the general internet. Much higher performance, much better security, overall well suited to connect to the highest value workloads that may be running in the cloud. The second in this toolkit is called our service level management and orchestration. And this is based on SD-WAN, but it's an SD-WAN overlay that creates a user to cloud management and orchestration function. This is very difficult generally for people to do when you talk about the service goes from a user through a satellite domain, through a networking domain, into a cloud domain. And getting end-to-end visibility is actually very tricky sometimes. Well, now we've got a solution using an SD-WAN technology to put an overlay that allows that to happen much, much easier. The third tool in our toolkit has to do with edge compute. And this is essentially what allows people to bring the cloud all the way out to the remote. Edge compute becomes a platform now that can host workloads all the way out at the remote, especially if they need real-time performance. And now with SES, we can offer this as a managed edge compute service. And the last one I'm particularly excited about is this now starts leveraging an emerging technology, 5G, but specifically private 5G. Private 5G is what allows us to put a local communication fabric at the end of a satellite link, basically creating a hybrid network fabric with satellite plus private 5G. And now this 5G can connect users and can connect IoT devices. It can connect all the things that have been envisioned by the 3GPP 5G partnership in order to create that environment for digital transformation. So our toolkit really is these four elements, but these are four elements that can be applied on top of our core product sets. And again, our core product sets are going to be anchored by O3b mPOWER, energy products, enterprise products, and government products. These, plus our toolkit, are what are going to be able to deliver space-enabled digital transformation. Let's talk a little bit more about how SES delivers this digital transformation toolkit. What we do is we leverage the power of the digital ecosystem. We use partners. There's us with SES, and there's two other classes of partners that we work very closely with. Again, there's us. There's the cloud service providers, and then there's the solution integrator community. So examples would be, for instance, in cloud service providers, it would be Microsoft or AWS, with which SES has formed some partnerships. Solution integrators would be companies like NTT, again, with whom SES have formed some partnerships. But putting together these three capabilities, and what it really allows us to do is look for that intersection that kind of creates the digital transformation solution. So some of these partnerships are around technology partnerships, and some of these partnerships are around go-to-market partnerships. But in both cases, when you put this recipe together, this is what delivers the digital transformation value. And of course, through SES, the space-enabled digital transformation value to our customers. So let's wrap this up then. What we said was digital transformation relies on the cloud. That relies on the network. So with SES, we can offer agile bandwidth plus a toolkit that ultimately allows our customers to deliver on these digital transformation projects, make money, and save money. This is what our customers are interested in doing. This is why we're focused on space-enabled digital transformations and space-enabled cloud.